If you're serious about growing your YouTube channel, you need to stop treating your thumbnails like an afterthought. The best creators aren't just making great thumbnails, they're perfecting them. What if I told you that the top YouTubers spend as much or more time on perfecting their thumbnail than they do on the video itself? In this video, I'm going to break down the exact steps used by top creators to ensure that they create high-performing thumbnails that get the click every time. Miss this, and your channel may remain in the shadows no matter how good your content may be. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly the difference between a basic thumbnail and a viral video thumbnail, and we'll cover some specific strategies that will help you make better thumbnails so that you can grow your channel and grow it fast. And if you wait around till the end of the video, I'll show you a strategy how to revive a video that may be dying if your thumbnail's not working. Let's start with this truth. In the YouTube thumbnail game, you've only got one shot. There's an old saying that says you eat with your eyes first. But that saying doesn't just apply to food, it applies to YouTube videos as well. I remember when I whipped up what I thought was the most epic video ever. I spent all this time. I created transitions, I did hours on my scripting, I used specific B-roll that I thought would really engage people, only to launch the video and crickets. There was absolute silence. I only got a few views. And of course I was new to the YouTube game and I didn't understand what was going on. And I had overlooked probably the most important component to a successful YouTube video, the thumbnail. My critical mistake, I'd only spent 5 minutes thinking up the thumbnail and I'd spent hours scripting a video and coming up with all this great content, only for no one to ever watch it. So here's the thing. The top creators spend as much time on their thumbnail as they do the actual video content itself. That's right. I know it's hard to believe. Even educators like business owners, maybe yourself like myself. I own the Hampton Law Firm and I've got over 310,000 subscribers, but I need to focus all the time on my thumbnails and not just the quality of my content, because otherwise, if I don't create a good thumbnail, I'll never earn the click. In essence, your thumbnail, that little image that grabs everyone's attention, it's your elevator pitch for your video. If you don't spend enough time on it, you won't get anybody's attention, no matter how great your content may be. Spend hours, even days, brainstorming the best thumbnail concepts you can before you ever create any content. In fact, what I do now is I actually look to make sure that my thumbnail is the #1 thing that I feel most confident about, and then I create video content around a winning thumbnail concept. The second truth I want to cover is that curiosity is the primary psychological trigger that earns the click. When you start looking at the psychology behind thumbnails and what makes people want to watch something or click on a video, you have to get into the sneaky tactics of understanding that curiosity is what really grabs a hold of people. This is what is known as the curiosity gap. It's the psychological effect that we all have, that if we see something that grabs our attention, if it's done right, we'll look at it and say, what's going on here? I want to learn more about what this is talking about. And it becomes overwhelming to us to the point where we have to click on it. You're not just showing the viewer what's going to happen. You're giving them a little taste and holding back the rest to make them want more. Now, let's cover the top 5 curiosity creating thumbnail concepts that are out there working on YouTube right now. Number 1, moment thumbnails. This is where you capture a moment in time, a split second before something is about to happen. And it causes you to look at it and think, wait a minute, what happened right before this? Or what's about to happen as soon as I click on this video? This, of course, creates curiosity. The more curiosity, the more the psychological urge to find out what happened. And then at that point, you want to scratch the itch, and the only way to do that is to click and watch the video. One example of that is what we're looking at on the screen now, where you see I had a video known as Lawyer, Protect Yourself from Cops When Traveling with a Gun. But before you ever get to the title, you see the thumbnail, and what does it say? It's a man who's being detained by a police officer with what looks like they found a gun case on him at the airport, and he's looking at him saying, but it's legal. What do you want to know? How did he get there? That makes you look down at the title to determine your interest in the video, which then helps earn your click. Number 2, story thumbnails. Here, you set up a story, but you leave out the punchline, so you create interest in what happens next. Story thumbnails are all about building a narrative. Like this video, for instance. Here, we want to click on this video because why? He looks like he's in distress, and it says here, I went to the Sahara Desert with no plan. Well, did he survive? I'm curious. I'm going to click. Number 3, results-based thumbnails. Here, you show the end result, but you don't let the viewer know how you got there. Whether it's a sought-after skill or a finished product, the curiosity here comes from how the person got to the end result. For example, this thumbnail, how did he become rich by 30? The only way I'm going to know is to click on the video to see the finished product, even though I'm well over 30 and yeah, but moving on to the next one. Number 4, the transformation thumbnail. This is the classic before and after. Here you're making people wonder, how did they pull that off? We still have a desired result, but here we want to see the journey from how they could go so drastically from before to this after product. With transformation thumbnails, the more relatable the beginning stage is to your viewer, the more effective this thumbnail will be. For example, notice this thumbnail. That is quite an impressive transformation, and it's one that earned this creator 850,000 views. Number 5, novelty thumbnails. Hit them with something they have not seen before. These thumbnails can put you in awe, or more frequently, they make you pause because it's something you've never seen. For example, here's Ryan Trahan's novelty thumbnail, where he shows 41 minutes. He's centered right in the middle of the thumbnail, and he's wearing an orange jumpsuit, so all of it gets your attention. And then you see it's the world's quietest room. This is, of course, why it became such a viral video, because it grabbed a hold of people's attention with something they had never seen before. So, the next time you're thinking about brainstorming on a thumbnail, use one of these concepts so that you can reel in your viewers like a fish on a hook. Now, I've got a question for you. Have you ever been in a grocery store and you looked over and there was a flashy magazine cover that grabbed your attention more than anything else sitting on the rack? That is what you want your thumbnail to be. You want it to be a scroll stopper. Always think about creating a thumbnail that breaks the pattern interrupt. Whether it's through the use of color or novelty ideas, you want to break someone's pattern of swiping, and you don't want your thumbnail to blend in with everything else. Faces work great on thumbnails because it's easy for the viewer to connect with the emotions of the person on that thumbnail. Big, bold numbers are really effective too, particularly if there's dollar signs associated with it. Because who doesn't want to click on a YouTube video that talks about making millions of dollars? Vibrant colors, movement, familiar symbols. These are the secret weapons you should be using on your thumbnails to get people to stop, look, and click. What about the design basics for our thumbnail? Here, once we've established the psychological hooks to grab people's attention, now we really want to make the thumbnail design pop. With thumbnail design, simplicity is always king. So, you want to have a main character that grabs somebody's attention, then you want to have supporting characters that provide context for the thumbnail. Whatever you do, don't clutter up your thumbnail. I repeat, don't clutter it up. You can use contrast and composition to make it clear and clean so that people in just a half a second will know exactly what they're looking at. And if you want to be 100% sure that your thumbnail hits the mark, run it through these 3 tests. Number 1, the clarity test. Shrink your thumbnail down to its smallest size. Can you still tell what it is? For example, here when you look at my channel, you can tell that this video clearly has 2 police officers on the thumbnail at the front door, and they are giving you an ultimatum on the text of the thumbnail. Number 2, the contrast test. Does your thumbnail stand out next to other thumbnails? Let's take a look at the thumbnail from my channel. Here you can see the thumbnail has color contrast with the red van grabbing your attention, but it also has a very intimidating officer with his hand in kind of a strange position, which pushes your eye down to the title. Finally, number 3, the glance test. Have someone look at your thumbnail in just a split second. Can they tell what the video is about? If they can't tell what your thumbnail is about by a glance, it's time for you to start over. Take a look at the video from my channel. People, when they glance at this, it's immediately obvious that the cops are demanding something from you, which then pushes you down to the title. So we've put all this work into thumbnails. Now it's time to actually launch the video. But beware, always have backups and be ready to switch it up. Even the best creators on YouTube may not get it right the first time. Personally, I make sure I always have at least 2, sometimes 3 thumbnails available for a particular video. The reason why is because I want to really track the performance of my video in the first hour to 2 hours. I can tell within the first hour if the click-through rate on my video is at least average or above average for my normal videos. If my video's not performing and I have a low click-through rate in the first few hours, I know it's time for me to switch it up. And in that situation, YouTube's A/B testing feature may be your best friend. I always consider using the YouTube A/B test feature if I'm seeing that I'm in between certain thumbnails or I don't have a very high conviction thumbnail for a particular video. And sometimes it's always good to try the A/B test once your video's performance starts to slow down. I've literally been able to take high performing videos and turn them into super performing videos by using the A/B test feature. But wait, how do I know if it's my title or my thumbnail when my video does not perform like I expected? I'm going to speak to you about my personal experience, but I know for every one of my channels, my baseline click-through rate for my videos on average. And I'm looking within those first few hours to make sure if that video's performance on the click-through rate is hitting that mark or higher. What is the click-through rate, you say? The click-through rate is the percentage of people that see your impressions, that see your actual thumbnail out on YouTube and click on it after they view it. As a general rule, the lower your click-through rate, the better the chance is your thumbnail is not performing. So if your click-through rate is low in the first hour or two of your video, it may be a good idea to try out a different thumbnail to see if you can improve the performance. But what if your click-through rate is pretty good for your channel, but you're still not getting the views or the impressions? What are impressions? Impressions are the number of times that the YouTube algorithm shows your title and thumbnail anywhere on YouTube. For me, if I find that I have a pretty good click-through rate, but I'm running into problems with my views and my impressions, there's a decent chance that there is a disconnect between my title and my thumbnail, and I might need to take a look at my title. I know this is an advanced strategy, but I have literally saved dozens and dozens of videos from low performing videos and moved them up into super high performing videos by being able to monitor both the click-through rate for the thumbnail and the actual impressions for the title. In the end, you should think of your thumbnail as your first date. If you show up sloppy to your first date, you may never get a second chance. Put all the effort into making it pop. Keep it intriguing and show off your great content. Because who knows, you may be one killer thumbnail away from the big break your business YouTube channel needs in order to take off. So the next time you're about to post a video, don't just slap any old thumbnail on your video and call it a day. Put some time, put some effort into researching the exact thumbnail that will work for you, and you'll be happy to see the views start rolling in. Now, once you get people watching your videos, is there a way to keep them watching video after video? Check out this next video where I break down the secret YouTube experts are using in order to create a binge watching effect for your channel. See you over there.